What's happening, everybody? So, in case you're not familiar, here in Philadelphia, we are lucky enough to have actual morning talk radio in the form of Preston and Steve. This is a show that attracts a number of comedians, and let me tell you, man, like as if you even if you don't like morning talk radio, Preston and Steve is a genuinely great show where like they've been doing this for years. They've been on multiple stations. They've survived obviously the multiple extinction rate that radio has gone through with like just turnover and changing and being bought out. And here they still stand. And yet comedians still find time to wake up at obnoxiously early hours to show up for this show and do interviews. Now, normally though, if a comedian does make the time to show up to one of these interviews with Preston and Steve, and granted, again, you might not respect morning talk radio, but these guys are in the National Radio Hall of Fame. They're pretty fucking good at what they do. So even if you don't respect what they do, they do have a platform that comedians can actually promote themselves on. And I would imagine, particularly if their shows are not sold out. But I was pretty blown away when I watched, in my opinion, one of the more talented teams of individuals who interview comedians struggle to work with the biggest brat that I've ever seen on this show being interviewed. So I just wanted to kind of go through this Pauly Shore interview, break down moments of it, and just kind of overall go through just the gold mine that is this uh, insane and chaotic experience that just ultimately yields uh quite a few lulls. So let's watch it here together. Let's get into it. Important to preface, Pauly Shore is at least 30 minutes late to this interview. He's definitely late because they're like killing time. They were expecting to have him on earlier, and then he comes in. So
Yeah, it's going to be Helium Comedy Club tonight, tomorrow,
already not making
and
friends
Saturday as well. Multiple shows each.
with our host Preston here. Preston hates a late or canceled guest. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't as a
Night and
host?
go to heliumcomedy.com to get the tickets. He was raised in a comedy club.
Oh my
crying
God.
out, as he
It's
just said.
royalty.
And I smell like it's still right.
Please welcome Pauly Shore.
We're not sponsored by anyone either, by the way. We're Bud Light all the way, Bud Light all day. Happy June 1st, bitches.
Hey, man.
Thanks, man.
Nice to see you again.
Just came right from the
I
airport,
never
dude.
swear on this show.
No, no.
You can
I'm just
say
kidding. Relax. God, you guys. You guys. You're so,
Breaking the ice.
We
Can't blame
get
him
away
there.
with some.
it's crazy. It's
Yeah.
like we've all been through Chernobyl or something.
Yeah.
Right?
The first thing that kind of stands out to me is like, we've all been through Chernobyl or something. Is that like a COVID reference? Like, I don't know, man. Like, yeah, COVID happened, but we're like 2 years out from that shit. You really feel the need to mention it now? That's as far as your comedy's gotten in 2 years.
Right?
Yeah.
We
I
were
mean, we've all been through war and we're still standing.
yes.
You know,
It wasn't war. Ukraine, other parts of the world, Gaza, you could go and experience war. COVID-19 in America, not so much.
we look at each other and we're like, oh my God, we've been through it.
Yeah.
You know, you're saying we did this, you're saying we did that. You know, I come back in here. Thanks for having me, first of all.
Our pleasure.
But it's wild because I feel like I'm right now I'm like in a time capsule of 1986. You know what I mean? Because
Yes.
because like
So he's about to give them the most backhanded compliment I've ever heard in my life here.
I've been touring for 30 years, doing shows, touring all around. And whenever they ask me to do morning radio, or I always say no.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it.
I hate
because
morning
it's
radio.
It's not what people do anymore.
Right.
Like morning radio.
This is pretty much an extinct form of artistic expression. He said 100% wrong. But imagine going on like a podcast and being like, podcasts are kind of lame, but here I am on your podcast to promote myself.
Radio doesn't really exist, but you guys are the last The Last Guys.
Are we the
It's
last guy
great.
standing?
I have to be here for this.
We
I
appreciate
mean, this is
it.
big.
Yes.
I mean, listen,
But
this all
I'm
day
serious.
You're attending our
Crazy.
funeral.
Like, I remember, dude,
And then Steve tries to save it with like, it's like you're attending a funeral statement. You gotta love Steve, man. You're gonna see he does a lot of work in this interview to make this as not awkward as possible. And Pauly Shore just continues to work and insist on making this the most horrible, awkward interview that you've ever watched in your life. So at the same time, he's like, I mean, this is one of the top radio shows in America because you guys are basically extinct and you're a fucking freak exhibit that I've come to visit. I have to be here. I have to. Not I wanted to or I needed to be here. I have to be here. Great start, Pauly.
remember, okay, I would fly in from California to say, let's just say Houston, Texas.
Right.
Okay. And I would, the hours are already messed up.
Yeah.
And you land, and the limo guy picks you up, and you're thing. They give you a key to your room. You wake up, and you got to get up at 6, and you 6 a.m., dude. And you get in the car, and the manager's there with a cup of coffee.
Just
right?
a little bit.
That's why they do it. But
They
it
talked
just
about
seemed weird
traveling.
that, your hours are not
Yeah.
conducive to this.
So when they told me about you guys, I'm like, yeah, I want to come in because I've known you guys for so many years.
Yeah.
And there's this history here, and you guys are like,
Clearly, because it's not awkward or strange at all in this interview with the host or any of his co-hosts.
the kings of Philly. And I want to say what's up to Philadelphia. It's Pauly Shore. Yo, dudes, I like the Chinese people, bro. Wow, man.
Look at this face immediately after he says that. He's like, I don't know what I just said. Is it going to land? It's not going to land.
Oh, good. We're getting
Just
jet
got a
lag,
couple
Pauly.
of car crashes.
Oh.
Philly, dude, this is the real deal, dude. This is East Coast. I
Yeah.
just flew in from Vegas, bro.
Did
you really?
I haven't been to sleep, but as it's
I do actually kind of respect Pauly just persevering. He completely bombs out there, just makes some random racistly Asian joke, and then it doesn't land at all, and he just moves on. Respect.
Spearmint Rhino last night. I'm on an 8-ball of Coke.
Nice.
And I'm still, no, I'm just kidding.
This is one thing I've noticed about Pauly Shore, whether it's Kill Tony, which he opened up with like joking about like he was on ecstasy or some shit like that, or mushrooms. And Joe Rogan, I think he opened up, and maybe it was Kill Tony. He joked about being on ecstasy. Joe Rogan, he joked about being on mushrooms. This show, he comes on, he jokes about being on cocaine. This is clearly an opening bit that he does often. Might be funny to you, but just recognize he does this literally. He always opens up with like, I'm on something. But I'm actually not that much of a drunk or a drug addict, which he's not. He's not. He's not that much of an addict. He had a problem at one point. Not anymore.
So,
Yeah.
was the Dead performing last night?
Is it what?
At
The
the
Dead?
Sphere?
Were they
No,
performing at the
I
Sphere?
saw. Why? Because I'm wearing a tie-dye shirt.
No. Just because they're
Oh,
there and
the
you
Sphere.
were. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I don't think so. No, I'm actually
A guy who asked him that, Casey Boy, is obsessed with the Grateful Dead and Fish, which is why as soon as he got the opportunity to bring that up, he brought that up.
pretty mellow these days.
In case you didn't
Yeah.
know.
I was I think the last time we had you on, we've had you on a number of times, and
What
every
is
single
this? Wait, stop,
Yeah,
stop. What's this guy that looked like Ralph Cramden laughing about? Yeah.
All right. Ralph Cramden, in case you're not aware, is the guy from The Honeymooners. So this is like the character that basically every TV sitcom dad is based on. You're talking about this guy. This is Ralph Cramden. So they're going to cut over to Nick in a second. And Nick is a lot of things, but one thing I can tell you is he doesn't look all that much like Ralph Cramden. So this is Ralph Cramden. This is who Pauly Shore is asserting that Nick, the producer of the Preston and Steve show, looks like. Let's see if that's necessarily true.
Nick,
Why are you laughing?
I find you immensely entertaining, and I encountered you.
So he
getting
starts
off the
bullying him.
elevator this morning. You were going to the bathroom, and I was going to the bathroom, and it's just it's a fun morning when you're going to the bathroom at the same time as Pauly Shore. And then we walked back into the offices together, and I offered you a cup of coffee because I knew that you had taken the red eye in.
Yes, sir.
And you were like walking away.
And granted, Pauly Shore is expressed, who are you? You look like Ralph Cramden, who he doesn't look like. How do I know you? This poor guy's just trying to explain. He's being a little long-winded to get on Pauly Shore's side a tiny bit. He's being a little long-winded, but he's explaining who he is.
Away from me, and you're like, so badly, I need a cup of coffee. And so I ask you, how do you take it? And you say, at this point, just black. So I go and I get you the cup of coffee, and
At this point, just black. You imagine like some rich person telling you that, you like at your job, they come in for some coffee. Like, how do you like it? Well, since you're taking so goddamn long, black. At this point,
and then I brought it back over to you, and you were polite and said thank you. And then it occurred to me in that moment, I wonder how often
He does the news for you guys.
so he goes, it occurred to me in that moment, and I wondered, and Pauly Shore interjects with this obnoxious statement. This guy does the news for you, doesn't he? And here I'm willing to bet Nick adjusts his question just a little. I don't think this was the original question Nick had in mind.
No. There's a
Right?
question. There's a question here. You asked who I was, and so there's a quick explanation.
Whoa! You asked who I was. Here's a quick explanation.
But how often have you encountered celebrities that were unkind to you or a dick to you?
Unkind to you or a dick to you? Was that really what you were going to ask at first, Nick? Or is Pauly Shore being enough of an asshole that you decide to ask him this question?
Man, I don't know. Now I have to think, dude.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Let's go to the next question. You go.
Thanks a lot, man. You made me have to think,
Yeah.
dude.
So they're still
Can we move on to
in
the next
Vegas?
question?
No, I don't know. I mean, it's different when people know you, then it's different than, you know what I mean? Like I was
You're
at
saving face a little bit here.
Jason Derulo.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I was
Sure,
at
you don't
at
know
the
people.
Venetian the other day
move
or
on.
the other night. And T.I. was there.
Okay.
The rapper
Oh,
T.I.
that's
He
a
was
good
right
point.
next to me. And he was really nice. Really nice.
T.I.
To me.
Name
Pretty much
drop.
kissed
This is
my
our
ring.
first big name
really?
drop.
Kiss my ring. Hey, brother, man, you started it, bro. No, it's crazy.
You
because,
started it, bro. That's what T.I. said to Pauly
It's
Shore.
hard for
And kissed
me.
his
It's
ring.
hard for me.
Kissed
to,
his ring, people.
I don't want to say
Beautiful.
accept love, but it's hard for me when people say things to me that I've done for them, like
Gotcha.
emotionally,
Yeah.
with my movies or stuff that I've done. Because I just, I'm still just.
You're kind of humble at some level.
No, I'm just still in awe of the fact that whatever it is that I did stuck. I'm not. I don't take it for granted.
Documentary about stand-up comedy, and they make the case that a lot
Yeah,
of the
he just
comedy
rants
that
about
we
himself
know
being
and
narcissistic for a
have
while.
idolized for decades, the flashpoint was the Comedy Store and the efforts of your mom. So and what you guys as a family legacy did, but also
So I do wonder. I watch the Preston and Steve show often, but I have no idea if Steve here is aware that Pauly Shore has at best a contentious relationship with his mother. There's no secret that Pauly Shore's mother was a drug addict, which might be why he doesn't participate in drugs all that heavily. I have friends who are in the same boat. Their parents partied a lot and they don't party a lot as a result. But I don't know if he's fully aware of the extent in which Pauly Shore has lived in the shadow of his mom. You can see how awkward Pauly is here.
I wonder if growing up around that, you talk about kissing the ring and stuff like that. Did you have like a perception?
Kiss
a lot of
the
people
ring.
might have been kissing your ass or whatever, because they wanted to get in your good graces.
Yeah,
Was it hard to figure out who was being a
Yes,
real
he
friend?
spent his whole life
Right?
doing
Still
that.
don't know if you guys really like me for me. It's like I don't know. Nick definitely doesn't. No,
Because you picked on it.
but no, that's
Sorry.
it.
Nick does,
No,
You know
no,
what I'm saying?
but no, that's part of the reason.
You have to kind of like him because he's aware enough to know, like, I bullied this guy. There's no way he likes me anymore.
Reason why I'm still single.
Huh.
Ah.
Huh.
Well, you're not vulnerable.
No, it's hard for me to trust.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know,
I get
like
that.
you know, like it's hard for me. Like I have a friend of mine that just had a baby and he's 40 years old and he's been with this girl for 12 years. I'm like, you guys are faithful. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, it must be cool to have a ride or die woman with you. I go, I don't know if I'll ever have that.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
because
if you
every
spend
girl
your
I
whole
meet
career
or
fucking
every
porn
woman I meet
stars
is they
and
they immediately think
flavor of
that.
the
But
week
once they get
and then
behind the
dubbing them
biodome
once
or
you
the
realize you're
MTV or
sick
the
of them for
son-in-law,
what
like
they
they see I'm a
do,
nice guy, but still
you
I
might
have
not
that
have a
insecurity
permanent
thing or that
partner.
question. Why don't we ask? What do you think?
Kathy.
What do you think?
Of you?
She's not.
Kathy's like the main. She's not the only girl on the show, but she's like the main girl on the show. So after he's beating up Nick, he zeroes in on Kathy. She's like, "Oh fuck, man."
She's not even paying attention. She's on her TikTok, bro. Why is she?
Kathy's older than me, by the way. And Kathy's a good-looking girl. What I say that for is to point out she's not like a TikTok generation kid. But Pauly Shore looks at her and assumes she's like 20 or some shit. Like, not to say she couldn't pass her 20, but he looks at her and he's so fucking old and out of touch. He's like, oh, this dumb white bitch must be on TikTok.
On her TikTok, dude. That's not cool.
No, she's not.
No, just about you. You'd say I don't want to say.
The question is,
yeah.
And if he doesn't believe that, it's still annoying just from the perspective of like that's a fucking bit that you had up your sleeve, just fucking bullying Kathy and then calling out TikTok because that's something that kids are into or some shit like that.
But I pose the possibility that Paulie, because of the comedy store and all of the careers that were built, that people were
Steve knows a lot about I'm pretty sure Steve performed at the Comedy Store. He did stand-up comedy in LA for a while, but I genuinely don't think he's aware of just how bad the relationship between Paulie and Mitzi is.
perhaps he might have thought over the long term that people were just trying to get in his good graces
Yeah.
to get in at the comedy store, and so he has trust issues.
But also just why I'm still single.
All right.
Is
You know what I
for
mean?
that reason.
Well, that's part of it. Yeah, like if someone likes me, do they like me for me, or do they like me because I've been on TV, or
Right.
they see my they see my comedy, or
Well,
you know,
I'm sure the number one reason that it doesn't work out between you and women is because they've just seen your comedy, Paulie, and they think you're hilarious, but they can't accept that you're a real guy with emotions. I'm sure that's the reason it doesn't work out. I'm sure.
I'm a certified therapist, so
Amazing.
I think
Nick, you didn't tell me this happened.
That's got to be a common problem for celebrities.
He's picking
It
on
really
Kathy
has
and
to be.
Nick at
Have
the
you
same
talked to
time.
other people
But I'm
that-
not whining. Trust
No,
me,
no,
I'm
no, I
not
get
whining
it.
because in
Sure.
life you have to look at what you have, not
Right,
what you don't
Pauly
have.
Shore
Yeah,
just
And I
kind
have
of
all
like
this awesome,
bitches
great
and
stuff,
whines
Right.
for
but I
a
don't
little
have
bit.
everything.
Yeah, but
By
if you're
talking
given
about
it a
not
chance-
whining.
But you're very successful. You have a lot of things going on, and we would be remiss, Paulie, if we didn't immediately ask what's going on in the world of Richard Simmons.
Oh, yeah.
What's going on?
Mm.
Anything.
Now she's paying attention.
I love Richard Simmons.
Because we saw that
What the fuck? He picks on Kathy again for no reason?
first notion about you doing this biopic.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That does make sense. And then there was this
Leave her alone.
short film that was circulating social media. It was The Court Jester. Is that what
Yeah,
it is?
Court Jester.
Right. And you're playing.
They
Richard
talk a little
Simmons,
bit more about Pauly
you're on
Shore
the Ellen
and
show,
his whole kerfuffle
you know,
with
he's now saying
Richard
he's a lot more
Simmons.
Okay with him not being a part of it?
This is actually pretty. I'll go back a little bit.
And we got our pitch, we got the producers, and
They're
we're
basically
just
questioning
pitching
him
people.
on
We
this
pitched Warner
Richard
Brothers last
Simmons
week, the week before
project.
we pitched New
And he
Line,
doesn't have
and we're in
permission to
that
do.
part of the
Richard Simmons is
process.
Are
like
you gonna
probably
direct?
come out and been like,
No,
Uh-huh.
no, we're
I
gonna get a
hate the fact that
director.
this
Okay.
guy
Are you
is
okay
doing
with
it.
him not being a part of it?
Look at Kathy's face here. It's like, are you okay with him not being a part of it? And he's been such a piece of shit to all of them this whole time that you can't even blame her for being a little bit nervous. And I'm on Kathy's side here. She has balls for asking him Are you okay with the fact that he's not okay with it?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, because we're not coming at it in a place that's going to ever make him feel uncomfortable.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because number one, you'll get sued.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't.
The number one reason that I'm not going to betray Richard Simmons' trust is, well, I don't want to get sued.
Do that if it's called a discrepancy. What's it called? Like discrepancy
Disparaging
or
or
disparage? Yeah.
Yeah.
So so
There's
we're
no
not
idea
interested in
what
that, telling that
he
story.
could even get
Okay.
sued
We want to
for.
tell the story of a man that saved
I
lives.
don't think he's read the script that's been written for this movie. I genuinely don't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what he did. He saved lives. Millions. I mean, so many people. And he.
How do you do a biopic without?
Why are you raising your hand? When
So
we're
we
in
don't-
class?
We don't talk over one another.
Bullying Nick again. That's what they do on the Preston and Steve show. So they don't talk over each other. Raise their hand. Hey, I got a question to interject for the guest. Can't wait to bully Nick.
Oh, so that's it.
Yes. Except for the guest.
The guest can talk over.
Yeah, guest can totally talk over.
If you were gonna call him anything, why wouldn't you call him again Austin Powers, not Cramden?
How do you do a biopic without doing a parody of that person or like just an impression of them? You want to portray him and you want to do it in a positive light. How do you enter that with that in your mind?
Well, because I'm an actor.
Yeah.
So you pretend.
No, I become
Because I'm an actor? So you pretend. Listen to this answer.
study and I learn his moves.
I didn't mean that as an insult.
Yeah. I become the guy. I embodied him. His moves, his energy, his feel.
This is like the level of insecurity that a kid has when he tells his parents he's gotten into acting instead of going to college and getting a real degree. He goes, I've become an actor, mom and dad. I'm not pretending. I'm doing a job where I become that person. I learn their skills. I develop their personality. Because Pauly Shore has a very wide and varied and diverse acting career.
And his cadence, his dialect, his dance moves. If you watch the short movie I did, it's all there.
You're nailing it.
Yeah, so it was all kind of laid out, and that's kind of right there. It's called The Court Gesture. It's on YouTube. It's got over 1 million views, and it's played not that what he said. You know what I mean? It could wind up being.
It's played not that, which is what he said. So his Court Jester movie on YouTube is the opposite of pretending. He's become that character. Just so you know, according to Pauly Shore, Nick sucks. Forget him. And by the way, Nick's awesome. He's the producer of this amazing morning radio show. And he usually gets along very well with the comedians on the show. For some reason, Pauly Shore, kind of difficult.
Being a Saturday Night Live sketch. But at the end of the day, I've been acting my whole life.
Right.
I've been doing movies. All my movies that I did, I was acting. I wasn't playing myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
what time frame are we talking about when in this?
Steve? Yeah. What time frame are we talking about?
So
it's up to Hollywood right now. I mean, we're pretty much like
what time frame of Richard Simmons' life?
I don't want to get into the story.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to put that out there right now. Hit Jordan.
I would be willing to bet $1,000 fucking dollars that Pauly Shore has no clue what the script of this movie is. He hasn't read it. He doesn't know how much of Richard Simmons' life it covers. He just wants to be in it and collect the clout of it. If there's one thing that I want to get across with this, it's that, again, you have this good interview team and you have this dude who just won't open up to them and is just interested in selling his shit. I want you to see what a shill Pauly Shore is.
His take on it.
I gotcha.
But we heard a lot of takes. The way it worked is all the meetings.
He's heard a lot of takes. He hasn't read it.
Meetings are on Zoom now.
Yeah.
So
he just talks about how they're getting this project together. and he's really excited for it. That's great.
Was
Pauly.
Phantom of the
Good luck
Mall
with it.
like a horror movie?
Yeah,
in
it's
the
like
mall?
a horror movie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
with Morgan Fairchild was in it.
Oh my
I
god!
mean, we're going back.
Well,
This
she,
is the 80s.
Yeah, that's pretty. That's,
because
that's prime Morgan Fairchild territory.
When we think of your film roles, we think of comedy. Some of it really slapsticky, but
I love here. Pauly tries to interrupt. Let's just rewind 1 second. Pauly tries to interrupt him, and Preston bosses him here.
your film roles, we think of comedy. Some of it really slapsticky.
Starts to interrupt. Preston gives him the finger.
But that
Shut the hell up. Let me finish my point.
At first thing 18 again, it was a pretty straight role that you played.
But all the movies, Encino Man, Son-in-Law, even Bio.
He starts to frame it like you got kind of typecasted into being this goofy comedy guy, but your first role was pretty straight. And Pauly Shore, just as a narcissist, completely ignores this and goes, "No, all of my roles have been very serious, and you should take my acting career very seriously."
Dome, they had that third act kind of arc.
They all have a
Army
good
movie,
third
they
act.
all had that third act thing, and that's what we want this to have as well.
Okay.
So.
Oh, that's cool.
But I mean,
Okay.
Richard Simmons, deserves a comeback, and I also deserve a comeback.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
Brendan
sure.
Fraser, no one thought you know what I mean? He got an Oscar.
Yeah.
So I should get an Oscar. At least now. Why is she laughing, bro?
Agreed.
Not cool, dude. Where's the Chinese friends, bro? No, but
Does Pauly Shore think that because Shane Gillis, one of the most popular comedians who happens to be from the Philadelphia area, got canceled for racist Asian comedy on Twitter, that everybody in Philadelphia loves racist Asian comedy? Is that what he's basing all of these comments on? I have no idea. But why does Pauly Shore think that just because Encino Man starred him and Brendan Fraser, and Brendan Fraser has had a comeback with a poignant, important, philosophical, moving role, that automatically puts him in the same category as needing that same level of redemption? Let's see what he has to say for himself.
But it's about the right role, the right time. We'll see. I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know
I
what?
mean, we
There's
might
a
all
perfect pairing, though. Richard Simmons and the Whale together. There you go.
There you go. He was the whale back in the day.
He was.
What the fuck? He was the whale back in the day? Maybe I kind of like Pauly Shore, actually. He's actually cooler than I thought.
Yeah, he was
Almost
chubby.
morbidly obese, right?
Yeah, that was part of his motivation to become, to work out, and that's all in this guy's pitch. Yeah.
Yeah.
All in his pitch. I don't know anything about the actual movie I'm starring in, but I've heard this guy pitch it like 3 times.
tear into a real dramatic role?
Yes.
Yeah.
More than anything.
So
More than anything.
What do you see? What would you like to do? Or it's
Anything
anything's up for
that
grabs.
is going to surround me with people that are going
All right, so Paul just kind of like continues to bitch.
to elevate me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I got a call from a director that God, what the hell's that guy's name?
You could never remember anyone's
really
name
good actor.
ever.
He was in. Oh man, I forgot his
And I
name. Looks like
understand
James
that.
Dean kind of.
Okay.
It's not always
Are
easy
you
to
talking
remember
about
people's
Austin
names.
No,
No,
not,
he's
not
talking about
him.
a
The other
director.
guy.
Come on, man.
No, the actor.
Oh, all right. That could be a
I forgot. He was in that.
The
that movie
confusion
where-
that just takes
I
place.
forgot.
Let's
It's too
figure it out.
early. It's too early. I'm
Okay.
just like, I haven't.
It's
slept,
too
but
early.
don't
I know.
say
We're,
that.
I just slept.
we're surprised you're able to go
Yeah,
as well
yeah.
as you are.
Yeah. So
All right. So, but anyway, that's still up
we'll
for grabs.
see. Yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm really excited about a lot of the other stuff I do too. All the online stuff is fun for me.
So,
So like,
this show called the Jam in the Van.
yeah, the jam.
Yeah, okay. So he talks about his Jam in the Band bullshit. Let's skip ahead to 39:43.
And as a dramatic actor as well.
Yeah.
Stars
And
Born
Stars
recently.
Born is
Yeah.
terrific.
And, but yeah, like for me, I'm an actor. That's why people are there. That when I sell tickets and I come on the road, and people are there not because of my Netflix special.
Right.
People are there because I touch their heart.
Yeah.
His Netflix special, which hasn't debuted yet, And I know he's just saying like because a lot of comedians get these Netflix specials they don't deserve. Netflix is a joke. It was filmed on May 3rd. It's this bullshit my childhood pictures thing that he's talking about, which is just Pauly showing you old footage of his childhood and then you getting duped into paying to see it while he
Through my
comments over
films.
it.
You know what's
And
interesting
No better
about
than
you?
this.
and there's this love and this connection that a
Casey
lot of
Boy wanted to
comics
say
don't
something
have.
there.
Right.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
He
When
got
you
stopped.
really jumped onto the scene, you're an actor and you were portraying a version of yourself, but people thought that that's who you were. Do you know what
Right.
I mean?
Yeah.
So you have
It was part of who I was.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about in the roles of Encino Man or son-in-law. These are roles that I was acting in.
right.
You know, I had to become these characters.
Exactly.
I wasn't that California douchebag that I played in Encino Man, which I still pretty much am today, but just a 30 years older version of it. But I wasn't that guy.
In order for people not to be disconnected when they watch the film.
Yeah.
Pauly Shore really is. I will say this. He's either doing some kind of fucking genius level artistic portrayal of a people's down to earth guy, kind of guy that is down with surfing and doesn't care what you think, or he literally lacks this level of self-awareness. We'll see. We'll
You
see.
mentioned
At the end
Dice and
of
what
the
he's
day,
managed to do in
we'll
his
see.
career. What do you think if Sam Kinison would have lived?
Preston's so over it. He's like leaning back. He's got the knee up. He's so over it. What would you think of your friend Sam Kinison? Would he be embarrassed with you because you're pathetic?
What he'd be doing today? Would he have delved more into acting, or would he still just be doing his stand-up? What do you think? Because you were real good friends with him.
He would, he would have to obviously getting off all the drugs and all that stuff that he was doing. And I mean, he was, he was his version. He was George Carlin. He was Richard Pryor. He was one of those guys that everyone would be watching.
Sam Kinison would have the same shitty podcast that Patrice O'Neal or any of the other dead comedians would have if they were still alive, with all of the same boring guests that we've already seen appear on 50 other podcasts right before their Netflix specials come out. That would be Sam Kinison.
You go, what the
I'm
hell is he
sorry,
going to say now
but
about
it's the
Donald
truth.
Trump?
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Right.
he would be that guy that would just be breaking the rules.
Yeah.
You know, there would be no cancel culture with him.
Uh-huh.
He'd be like, F you cancel culture. With Sam, right?
Yeah.
He would just go right through it. It's kind of like what Rogan's doing over at his club, which I go to a lot, out there.
Goes to a lot, doesn't perform at a lot. He goes to a lot.
Oh yeah,
In Austin,
it is. It's the new. It's the new Buzz place.
Yeah, it's
the mothership.
The mothership, because he's just created a very, very comfortable place for comedians to do and say what they want. Because comedians, like when I go on stage,
it doesn't count as a cancel culture free place when you kick hecklers out and ban them from ever coming into your club. I'm not saying hecklers are right for doing what they're doing, but if you're a comedian and you can't basically handle a heckler, then you might not be a particularly great comedian. If you can't handle one heckler being a shithead, make fun of them and make them leave. What's the trouble there? So is it really a cancel-free culture at the Joe Rogan mothership if you have to have signs up that say hecklers will be alienated? We'll alienate you.
This whole weekend, I'm going to be working 95% in my brain because I got 5% going, man, I can't say that. But when I'm in
he just continues to go on about how much he wants to suck Joe Rogan's dick, how amazing the Joe Rogan Comedy Club is, just truly all that stuff.
Movies,
but it wasn't like we hung out after.
Yeah, projects come and go. You guys are very nomadic in the way you work in the movie industry. You spend these months together, and then everybody goes and works another job.
It was interesting because I just found I've been doing documentaries. So I have a one-man show as well called Stick With.
He never stopped selling.
The dancing. I'd love to do it here in Philadelphia.
Okay.
This
It's
is what his
it's a
Netflix
story
special is.
stories
Stick with
about
the
my
dancing.
childhood. It's called Stick with the Dancing, and it's all that comedy store stuff. But I was going
All
through
that
my
comedy
archive,
store stuff.
and I found the
I do feel bad for him,
the,
man. It'd
um,
be hard
set-
to
the
grow up
screen
around the
test
comedy
for
store around
Son-in-Law.
all those
the
predators
screen test
and
for
be
in the army
normal.
now.
Okay.
So I got Chris Rock that auditioned for it.
Oh.
I got Adrian
Oh,
Brody
more name drop.
Wow.
auditioned for it.
Dude.
Wow.
I got the guy Adam Goldberg.
But none of them wanted to be in the army now. And for you kids who are too young to know, In the Army Now was a shitty comedic remake of a movie called Police Academy with a different spin on it.
Auditioned for it.
Yeah.
All these actors were wanting to be in my films, and I have all the screen tests, so I'm gonna put them in the documentary.
I love that.
That's pretty
Pretty
cool.
dope.
Yeah,
Love that.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Were you good at auditioning?
And I remember getting auditioned for 21 Jump Street.
Wow.
And
That's
this
a
was
nice
in the
name
late
drop.
80s. This when Johnny Depp was
Johnny
on it, when
Depp.
he was huge.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You
And
guys
I
know
remember
Johnny
going
Depp,
to
right?
audition in my
I'm
purple Jeep
friends with Johnny Depp.
and
I
like
was on his
sitting
show.
like downstairs in the parking lot
Mhm.
at the audition, and then listening to Peter Gabriel's Big Time,
Yeah.
which was that song,
Yeah.
Peter Gabriel, to get me pumped up. And then I would go in there and I
On my
landed that.
way, I'm making
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah.
They all know it. The irony is that Big Time is about like an arrogant prick who doesn't realize how like full of S he is. And Pauly Shore just thinks that it's like a hype up song that's not about like getting too big for your own good.
And then I
That's
would get,
amazing.
you got to pump yourself up. But I killed that audition and I got the role and I got to fly up to Vancouver where we filmed 21 Jump Street and I got to meet Johnny Depp.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he was like so cool.
He seems like somebody you would jibe well
Yeah.
with.
He was like big heart.
This is amazing because he's about to compare himself to Johnny Depp, Brad Pitt, all the guys who are about his age. Pauly Shore considers himself to be equals with them.
Very
Of course.
sweet. Yeah. And we just had such a beautiful time up there. And it was so like just acting back then in the late 80s, like my whole class. I mean, you're talking David Arquette.
Yeah.
You're talking Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Who else? I mean, all those guys, we all started at
Brendan
the same
Fraser.
time. Brendan came on, yeah, and the
Robert Downey Jr. was around that time. He
Yeah.
started to hit Lesson Zero and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
That whole
and
collective.
It was just the what?
That whole collect. Andrew McCarthy's doing a
saw
documentary
that.
about
That
the
looked
Brat
sick,
Pack.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks sick. But I'm just
How do you think the rest of them would feel if they knew that Pauly Shore was associating their act with him?
saying Hollywood back then, it was just like it was just there was something so fun,
Yeah.
and innocent, and exciting about just getting an audition. You know what I mean? And like going there, and your agent's like, you got to do this, you got to do that, and don't do this, and don't say this, and then you walk in, and it's very uncomfortable.
When was that moment where you thought, because obviously you had
Screw you, Pauly.
400,000 times. Is that I'm very fortunate that I don't have that gene in my system where I have to have more than 1 or 2 drinks.
right.
He doesn't have the gene where he needs to have more than 1 or 2 drinks. But he went to rehab in 2013. This is the one thing that does piss me off about Pauly Shore is you want to give this guy a chance. You almost listen to an interview with him and you get tricked. You get like mind fucked and you think that he's actually kind of a nice guy. But then you realize the truth that he's just a liar and he's completely full of shit. I don't have the gene where I need to have 1 or 2 drinks. Why did you go to rehab for alcohol in 2013? Seems like you might need to have more than 1 or 2 drinks if you're going to rehab for that.
Or
Let's let him explain.
I'm friends with Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
He's my
Name drop.
neighbor in Vegas, right? And he's sober.
Yeah.
He's been sober for a while because he can't have just that one.
Right.
He can't just. I'm like, dude, because I've drank with him before and it's awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he gets buzzed.
And
You
he's
know what I mean?
turning
And
he's
he's-
turning out some great stuff now. He's
Yeah.
doing
But you
tons of
know,
good
Nicolas
stuff.
baby.
Cage can't
Yeah, he's got a
handle his
baby and-
alcohol the way I
And
can.
so,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just
He
happy
needs to
that I
take a
don't
break
have to
every
have.
now and
I
then.
don't. I can have 1 or 2 drinks.
And then
know?
you're good. And that's cool.
Yeah.
Dude,
good for you.
So many people.
Preston is so over this interview at this point. He's like, fuck, man. When can we move? Look at this. He's done. He's so fucking sick of this. Who could blame him?
As you were saying, you were surrounded by classic stories of people
And
who
then
couldn't
Steve
fight their
tries to
demons.
save
Yeah.
it
That
once
was your
again.
And then also
school.
financially
just
as well,
vast.
because
Yeah.
I'm like you people.
Mhm.
I used to watch my movies. I'm like, man, I got to save my money.
I gotta save my money.
No, but it's true. You know, the thing is, it's like I flew here, coach. I flew
He's not
coach
poor,
last
by the
night.
way,
No,
people.
no,
He's
Flight
got
coach.
$30
I sat
million
next to the guy, like, what are you doing here?
in like
I'm like,
his
I'm going
general
to
wealth.
Philadelphia.
Google this right
You know,
now.
so I've never been the guy that's been the guy that needs
Right.
a lot.
I'm not
What
hating on him for being
because
rich.
It obviously
That's
existed
great.
before MTV, but then when
Uh,
MTV started showing up on the
But
scene, it
what's
just
he doing
blew it up to
complaining
another
about
level.
like his
When did
status
you
in life, you know?
realize that what MTV
You're
was
fine,
bringing
man.
to the entity that is Spring
So
Break
yeah, they start
was-
talking to
has
him about
shifted
his
to
role in
this insane
MTV.
party.
Obviously, Pauly Shore was a big part of MTV and
Because it was
Spring
like
Break.
Prince Tony DeSanto, you know, Bobby Moore, Doug Herzog, Joel Gallen, everyone. We were all just family. Yeah.
All right. So if you weren't like a drug addict or anything like that in those heydays, how about sex?
Pauly did party. Again, this is where he's full of shit. He might not be like a huge drinker now, or a guy who's addicted to drugs, or is even getting haunted with scandals nowadays. He definitely partied. You're not allowed to go to rehab for alcohol and then claim that you never partied. And of course, Preston's just trying to get like a remotely interesting answer out of him.
Got to tell me that.
Come on, is there anything to do with
next
these
comment.
girls? Next question. What are you afraid of, Pauly? Who is gonna cancel you?
You asked a question before we came on about.
We're looking at these stunning women surround.
Steve's like, you brought up girls you fucked in the past when you first came on. Paul's like, shut up right now, shut the fuck up.
Hunting you in this video clip.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you were known. I mean, I remember you.
He's just surrounded by like beautiful young women at the time. And I mean, look, I'm not hating. Like, I'm sure Pauly Shore got his fair share. The point is, what is he hiding?
They liked my body.
You
Yeah.
did.
It's
you
not
were
just
with
that.
a lot of well-known adult film actresses too, and that was a thing.
Yeah.
You know, do you look back fondly on that? How do you perceive?
Steve, he doesn't even know what to do. He's like, you fucking suck so much. Well, what can I say to you next?
Those years now.
It's like it's in my one-man show. I talk about it.
Okay.
You know, I talk a lot about it.
Why don't you go
Do
see
you think
my
that's part
one-man
of
show?
the
Come
failure
on.
to
see my
not
one-man show.
being able to commit? Is that it was more? Yeah, this.
All right,
this
so obviously he
banquet
talks
of-
about his like bullshit
Never say
life.
never,
Yeah.
but I'm also very honest, and I don't lie. I don't like
Well, that's good.
I don't like promise people things. I don't say you're my
Right.
girlfriend, and then I say to someone else, "You're my girlfriend." I say to someone, "You're my girlfriend."
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want a girlfriend.
Pauly Shore's never lied, people. Hold him to that standard. He has never lied. He never will lie.
You know, so,
Ever.
Yeah.
And then I hear my mom's voice a lot. That's okay. You can do what you want. There's nothing wrong with that. You can be fine. Let him do his thing. Leave him alone. Back off.
His mom's voice, Mitzi Shore, the coke addict, owner of the Comedy Store, who routinely had sex with young male comics for spots.
You know what I mean? For
For their
real.
spot.
Your mom
I
had a
hear
great
my
voice.
mom.
I remember
Because
your
my mom always accepted people for who they were, no matter what.
And how long the
She
dicks
never
were.
judged. And that's why when I dated a porn star, this girl Savannah,
I
Yeah.
remember. She's
Yeah.
gorgeous.
yeah, she was
Ooh.
beautiful. I
Pauly
I was in
the
love with her
cock.
because of her as a person.
Right.
Her real name was Shannon,
Right.
and she was very beautiful, and she's very sweet and very nice, and we laughed a lot, you know. But then, you know, obviously,
Now, I wouldn't just call a guy a cuck because he dated a porn star. But I call Pauly a cuck for this exact reason.
I woke up one day and I'm like, I can't date a girl that does that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's just
Yes. If you knew she was disgusting and a porn star from the start, you should have said no. Thank you. But he dated her until he was embarrassed. That's shameful.
it's a little gnarly.
You don't
Yeah.
leave porn stars on.
It's a little,
Yeah,
it's a little gnarly.
A little
You
gnarly.
Make
With,
your decision about how serious you're going to be.
But no, but the thing that's
in the world
funny,
of Pauly
wait,
Shore,
wait.
that makes sense.
No, but the thing that's
And
the thing that's funny
If
about
you're going to date
about
them,
that situation
and you
was,
accept that you're a
'cause
cuck,
in my mind, I'm like, oh, this is cool. And then you realize, wait a minute, this is not cool.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like
yeah, just like that. In my mind, I went, this is cool. And then all of a sudden, I went, she's a gross, disgusting whore. I can't do this anymore. Ugh.
she's going to work.
Yeah.
And she's like banging dudes, and
Yeah.
then she's coming back and we're cuddling and watching a movie.
Right.
And like that's not right.
She's going.
Yes, you were her twink little girl to snuggle with, cuckold Shore.
Making the donuts.
Yeah, she's making the donuts. But
how was the sex?
it was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, man.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I mean, she was good at, a lot of things. She has practice.
To be fair, that's like a mad, retarded question that Casey Boy asks. How was the sex with the porn star? It was good.
So,
And they say if you do something, what, for 10,000 hours,
You become an expert.
You become an expert at it.
This is why I genuinely argue that this is actually one of the decent radio shows that exists in America, man. We're talking about Pauly Shore being cuckolded, being a total fucking bitch ass to this girl. And Steve goes, well, if she was good at sex, I mean, she's a porn star. They say it takes 10,000 hours to get good at anything. Come on, man. You gotta love this guy.
but
Look at his
yeah,
bald head.
so
But that's interesting the way you put that, though. It's like, this is cool. But wait a minute, it's not cool. I mean, that makes total sense.
I get that Preston's kind of floundering here, but what the fuck did he mean by that? I get what you mean. I was dating a porn star, and for a while I thought it was cool. And then I realized I'm a total dumbass, and I realized it's not cool at all. I'm fucking disgusted with her. What the fuck do you mean by you get what he means by that? I understand the insane logic he's operating under, but I don't get what he means by that. I either wouldn't have dated that chick from the start, or I would have dated her and been like, all right, like whatever, I'm a cuck and I just get to fuck this hot chick when she feels like it. Isn't that the deal when you're a porn star's boyfriend?
I know exactly what you're saying.
There's nothing wrong with that.
but
it is.
it's not
It
right,
seems like it's
know?
the deal.
Yeah, you're not casting judgment on what she does for a living.
You're not casting judgment. You're just saying, fuck this stupid cunt whore. I hate that she sucks big cock, and I'm breaking up with her because she's horrible.
You're just
Right.
yeah.
There's-
You might
yeah, there's
stop.
no
Like,
judgment.
hey, wait,
Pass,
I'm
though,
over it.
Casey Boy.
Yeah.
It's not cool anymore.
Who is
Your
basically
mom,
Brian
actually, I didn't
Redman.
realize this. Yeah,
Go shut up. Go sit in the corner, Polly. Go eat your fucking poop.
I'll give Pauly this. There's no one like Joe Rogan thinks he does a great Mitzi Shore. Pauly Shore definitely does the best Mitzi Shore of anyone. No one does a better impression of their parents than the kid. Come on.
Okay.
Go eat your pick. Go eat your pickle. You know what I mean?
I love that.
My mom actually also. A lot of people don't know this. She opened a theater in Hollywood on Las Palmas and Sunset, and she called it the Richard Pryor Theater.
I read about
Because she used to suck his dick.
this,
Yeah, and
but he
she
never
said
played it,
He
did
never played it once.
No.
This one's for
He was
Richard.
senile
I
at
didn't get
that
it for
point.
Richard. I'm like, Mom, he's not coming here. He's going to the Comedy Store to work out his stuff. No, this is the Richard Pryor Theater.
Didn't
But
she?
that's how much she loved him.
She built or at least
To admit
bought a
she loved him.
hotel for him.
It was a motel,
motel?
that was connected to the theater.
And wow.
Yeah.
I was
she
reading.
could
I
have
don't know if
sex
this
with
is
him
just
in the
hearsay,
motel.
but there were rumors in some of the articles I was reading that there was. Did your mom date Richard Pryor?
Steve goes there, man. You gotta love Steve. He's like, did your mom date Richard Pryor, come on, let us know. He's not gonna let you know, man. He sucks.
Next question.
Next question.
No,
I'm gonna skip to the very end of this interview where Pauly continues to act like a fucking douchebag. Let's watch the very end of this. So 3101 up to the 56.
about letting go.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And all of us hold on to stuff that has happened to us, and it's so hard.
Yes.
You know,
That's
and
true.
I've had
You're nailing it.
I've had a lot of stuff happen to me
Mm.
that maybe I
What?
created, but it happened.
Yeah.
You
Right.
created all that.
And how do you move on?
Mm.
You know, and that's when there's the prescription meds come in.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
People take
But
Xanax.
he's not
People
addicted
take
to
Ambien
anything.
and different
He's
things
sober.
like that to try to cool their brain, or like how do we relax our mind? You know, with anxiety and different things, like it's tough. And then now you throw the curveball with social media in there.
Yes.
And you throw that curveball in there, and you're like,
Right.
everyone. I mean, it's really crazy because we're all older.
Yeah.
We've grown up where people walk down the street.
He
talking
does
to
this
each
all the
other.
time
Now
where
they
he
walk
like
down the
boomers out and he's like, nobody understands
street
what it's
staring at
like
their
to be
phone.
older.
We've, and it's not going to get any better.
Is the stage cathartic for you?
Yes. Oh yes, 100%.
Nick finally wins him over. He finally gives him. He's like, I can relate to this question. I'm gonna give this a very serious answer.
I'm my happiest when I'm on stage.
And then they happy
Like I
with
can,
him on
I
stage.
could feel like, you know, because also you get that love.
Yeah.
You know, because people are there because they connect with you.
So we can see you at
can-
your happiest
yeah, for
tonight.
sure.
Yeah, tonight.
Yeah, you gotta get
Cool.
that knack
And I
on.
love Philly. You know, I've been
And Steve just tries to. He's like, just trying to save this poor guy, man. Steve is just trying to save it.
coming to Philly for many years, so it's a great city. Yeah.
Well, Helium Comedy Club tonight, tomorrow, Saturday. Tickets at heliumcomedy.com.
Go
Two
see
things
it.
We want to see
His
the
act is
one-man
horrible.
show. Let
Yes.
us know
It's
when that's coming
really
out. And
freaking
obviously, this
bad,
Richard
man.
Simmons thing's got to
Yeah.
come together.
I
We really
saw
hope
it.
that.
Well,
It's
that's
bad.
Pulling for you on that.
You know, again, that's a moment to moment, day to day.
Right.
I got my great producer. He's awesome. I feel really comfortable with him. I got my great
I haven't read the
with
script.
the writer and the pitch.
He's doing
and now we just need
everything.
to sell it.
I'm just
You
Excellent.
let us
telling
know.
you
Yeah,
blindly.
we will
So
get the word out.
yeah.
Good to see
And
you,
Richard,
man.
and Richard, if you're out there, we love you. Text me, call me. You have my number,
Excellent.
right?
It is great to see you.
I gave you my number, so that must mean that's enough of a contrition.
Sir, have a good time in Philly.
Chinese.
There he is.
Sauna.
More Chinese racism jokes. Again, on behalf of Philadelphia, I can't tell you why he's doing them to be popular. It's like I imagine it's like going to Cleveland and making fun of freaking the town right over. What's the town that Cleveland fucking beefs with? But like they're right next to each other. I have no idea what the fucking hell Pauly Shore thinks being Chinese racist
Pauly
is
Shore,
popular to us
our
for
good
some
friend
reason.
here.
Well, I hope that Pauly Shore's venture into the Richard Simmons thing is definitely successful. You know, what would be better than making
people know-
fun of Pauly Shore and watching this train wreck of a situation just unfold? Look at him. Look at the frightenedness in his eyes. I mean, this is a guy who just can't get with the times. He's lost, he's scared, and he's confused people. So that's Pauly Shore being a total massive douchebag on Preston and Steve. I'm Blunt Plunk, giving you my blunt opinion as best as I can.